Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move, and we've got another episode here for you in the Tactics and Team Guide Tips and Tricks section. Now we're going to be doing Chelsea today, and as you can see I've done nothing here. Apparently I'm on 94k wages, that's not too bad I guess, but in comparison to the rest of the team I guess that's horrible. But anyways, we can go ahead and skip those meetings and see what to make of the squad. So as I mentioned in the last episode, with the Arsenal team I always like to see what our best 11 is first, and then we can go ahead and decide on the tactics. So first we can skip this tactics creator actually. Let's see what our assistant thinks we should be playing with. He thinks it's a 4-4-2. Should find out who our assistant is in the first place. Angelo Alessio. I guess he's a decent assistant manager, he's got decent tactical knowledge, so why not? But anyways, let's see if he's right. So got some decent players here, of course. Chelsea are good enough. God knows why Fabregas is listed there, and Oscar's still here for some reason as well. But anyways, let's sort it out by ability and find our first 11 players, our best 11 players at the club rather. And there you go. Alright, so we've got a left winger in Eden Hazard, of course, inside forward, or capable of playing as a winger, but of course, you know, he's got decent finishing, vision, passing, that type of thing, so probably best used as an inside forward, and of course he doesn't have the highest crossing. As an advanced playmaker, decent as well, so you've got some options of playing him there. N'Golo Kante, box-to-box midfielder, also can play in defensive midfield, so again, more options. Costa's just a striker, that's pretty straightforward. Goalkeeper Courtois. Willian as a winger, I think he can play as an advanced playmaker as well, but his work rate would suggest that playing him as a winger would probably be his best bet as well. But then again, he does cut inside from both wings, so you might be tempted to not play him as an as a winger. Sorry, Fabregas, apparently an attacking midfielder, but he can play in centre mid as a deep line playmaker or an advanced playmaker. So you could, again, plenty of options in this Chelsea team really. Azpilicueta can play probably right back, left back, centre back as well, but I wouldn't suggest that. His heading and jumping reach aren't too good, so I would say pick him either left back or right back, and probably more comfortable in right back. Also, let's not forget Marcos Alonso in left back, also capable of being pushed up to wing back or even winger apparently. So we do have options here. Pedro's a Rodamantor, but I'm not really a fan of that role rather. So I would suggest inside forward. But let's see first what we can make of this team. It looks like we're going to be playing a 4-2-3-1 again. David Luiz centre back, capable of playing in defensive mid as well, I guess. Anyways, let's see. Got left winger, striker, right winger, advanced playmaker, centre mid here. And actually Fabregas as a centre midfielder as well. So our best bet probably is a 4-2-3-1 again, just like Arsenal I guess. It seems like the make of the team makes sense as well. You've got Oscar, an advanced playmaker as well. But yeah, I think we can just go ahead and ignore our assistant's suggestions. So I think it'll pretty much be the same as our Arsenal team, maybe a few tweaks according to who plays where. But if you want to play on the counter, 4-4-1-1 is your best bet. You don't want to be playing 4-2-3-1, that's not good on the counter. So we'll make another 4-2-3-1 wide, another 4-2-3-1 wide again. So of course, control's your best bet here, and if you need to push up you can go into attacking. So what we'll do first is see our goalkeepers. Courtois, comfortable as a goalkeeping on defence, we'll keep that as is. Our first choice right back will be Azpilicueta, who's comfortable as a wing back. Even Alonso is a wing back as well. We've got a couple of ball playing defenders according to my assistant. I would say he's completely wrong in thinking that Terry and David Luiz are ball playing defenders. And I think they do have decent passing and probably technique, which is fair enough, but without the vision it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be that useful. I think you'd be better off playing them as centre backs, you know, the normal central defenders. Maybe only ball playing defenders Cahill, but we'll have to see who's our first choice centre back pairing. Now you've got probably Luiz and Zuma, who are your best bets here according to the assistant manager's report. So it would make sense to play two central defenders. Now it says that Zuma's a defensive centre-back, which I think is kind of fair, but he does have some good mentals, so I'm not sure why I would say just that. So I think we can go ahead and keep them as is, two central defenders. Whenever you bring Cahill on, you can just easily switch that to ball-playing defender whenever you want. In fact, let's just keep that for now, but just bear that in mind. I'm just keeping that for an example, really. Now, as our wingers, the look of our wingers, it looks like we're going to have to play as wingers, I think. Willian... Yeah, I think Willian will just play him as a winger, even though he cuts in you know, inside on both flanks. I think you could still play him as a winger. Pedro probably comfortable as playing as a winger as well. Again, I don't think I would suggest that, since he does cut inside from both wings and he's more comfortable playing as an inside forward. I would play him as an inside forward. You've got a lot of flexibility on the wings here. You can play them on either wing and whatnot, so it's fine. I think what we'll do for now, though, because Willian's the best winger apparently, we'll play... Is he the best winger, actually? Yeah, he is. So we'll play him as a winger and Eden Hazard as an inside forward. We want Eden Hazard being on attack, so we'll have Alonso on the wing back support, and we'll have Azpilicueta on full back attack. It's pretty much really starting to shape up as the same as the Arsenal side, but what we're going to see here, as I mentioned, you know, you just have to keep this as it is. You know what I mentioned about the 4-2-3-1, these middle pair here have to be a bit more defensive than in other formations. You can't really have one on defense, one on support, and you know, one on attack type of thing. It has to be a bit more defensive. So if you play centre mid on defender, deep line playmaker on support, both of them will hold their positions. In comparison, if you played, for example, a centre mid on defend with a box to box, obviously box to box goes on, he roams from position, and that will leave your team too exposed, so you don't want to be doing that. So we'll just keep that as his deep line playmaker on support. And I think we do have the players to play, you know, both those roles. We'll just see in a second who will play that. Now, of course, our first choice striker, Diego Costa, apparently more comfortable as playing as a defensive forward. He does have the stats for it, to be fair, other than positioning. But he can also play as a complete forward on support, so it's really up to you. I would suggest not playing him on a target man. I think, you know, what suits playing as a lone forward in what's increasingly becoming a possession-based side is to play your striker on the support role. So you've got two options. You can either play him as a defensive forward on support. Well, it's gone for complete forward on support, so you could do that, or a defensive forward on support, depending on what you're more comfortable with. But me, I'm a bit more comfortable playing as a complete forward on support. Of course, if you're playing possession-based, then having a defensive forward isn't bad, because they do always try and close down the opposition defense, if it says here. I mean, due to put pressure on the defensive line. So, you know, that's good for you, basically. So it's really up to you. See if Diego Costa's comfortable doing that. We also have to bear in mind that Michy Batshuayi is a backup, and you sometimes have to adjust your tactics to him. He seems to be comfortable playing as a complete forward on support, so why not? And he certainly does have some decent stats for you. He's 22, so you can increase in most of these attributes, so, you know, why not play him there if he's comfortable with it. But you do have some other roles you can choose that will suit your system. False 9 will not be a bad choice. Deep line forward, not a bad choice either. And I think you can probably get away with a trequartista, just because I think they don't do much in a defensive sense, but they still do play a supportive role, even though it says they're on the attack. Just because of how they float around into empty spaces and whatnot, you can easily find them. But yeah, I would suggest, if you're asking me for preference, complete forward on support. And it just makes sense because Batshuayi is going to be playing that as well. So why not? And then an advanced playmaker on attack, and there's your team sort of. Now let's see which players keep, which players are more suited to the system, and everything else. So we've got two right backs. Okay, first, as I mentioned last episode, what I like to do is have, because Chelsea are a leading Premier League team, what I like to do is have the first choice player in their position playing as a leading player, and then the backup being a player with potential to becoming a star player, but also still able to play in the Premier League. So Courtois, without doubt, should be, well, I thought he should be a world-class talent, but we'll have to see who's judging that. So Spinelli is the best judging ability of our squad, of our coaching staff. Sorry. Apparently Courtois still got potential, so I guess we'll keep him as leading. That means that's good. He's our first choice. Begovic is considered a good player, so I guess he's decent backup to Courtois, but if you want, you could of course sell him and bring in someone with potential. We'll have a look at the under 23s and under 18s in just a second. Ivanovic, Azpilicueta, we've got our first choice right back in Azpilicueta. He's leading already, but you might want to get rid of Ivanovic again. Up to you. He is a good player. He would be a decent backup, of course. Of course, you have to check out his stats as well, whether that suits you or not. He is capable of switching into central defence if you'd like someone capable of being a backup for both. But as a fullback on attack, some of these attributes don't suit him too well. Dribbling, crossing, acceleration is okay, but you know, you can get someone probably better. Work rate's really good though, to be fair to him. Now let's see who else. Alright, so centre backs. Actually, sorry, left back, you've got only Alonso, so that might be an area where you want to invest in. Bring in someone who's a backup to Alonso. He's only considered good, which is kind of weird because I think he should be leading according to how he's played this season. But fair enough, Football Manager didn't really know him, I guess. Didn't know how good he'd be for Chelsea. But anyways, so considering he's only considered as a good player here, you might do well to get someone in who's actually a first choice, or you can obviously just trust in Alonso. He is a wing back after all on support. He's got great stats for it. And I think he'll do the job for you, to be honest. So you could just get someone in with potential and keep him as first team player. He is considered a first team here, so he might upset me a little bit if you don't play him as much. Centre backs, you've got kind of an aging back line. You've got John Terry, 35 years of age, David Luiz pretty much in the peak of his life, and Cahill just about in his peak as well, but you'd have to keep an eye on that. First choice is David Luiz, who is leading, so that's a good thing. Zuma, he's out for a while, but he seems to be maybe a good centre-back, I think I would say his ability is. But he is out for quite a while, 2 to 4 months, so you might, you know, it's really up to you. Cahill and John Terry I think are only considered as good players, and you'll have a huge call to do whether to keep these two as your backups or bringing in another star centre-back to play alongside Luiz, or to trust Zuma will come of age and just sell Cahill and Terry and bring in youngsters with potential. Then of course you can always look at your under 23s, which we'll do in just a second. In the place where we're stocked up the most seems to be the centre mid place. So I think we won't keep Fabregas as a central midfielder, which we do have the option for, of course, just because of how many players we've got there. It doesn't seem necessary to play him. Anyways, we do have Kante. He's a leading player, so he should be one of your first choices. On a centre mid, on defend, he's more than capable. Heading's a bit of a worry, but I think he'll be alright. And then the second choice, you've got Matic, deep line playmaker. Apparently he's only good. I don't understand this rating either. I think maybe the coach is wrong, even though he does have judging ability 16. Maybe he's a tiny bit wrong. So you might, if you trust him, then you might want to invest in another top class centre mid. But yeah, you've got Nemanja Matic, who can play as a deep line playmaker or even centre mid on defend. So you can switch between him and Kante, or even Mikel. I think will be able to play deep line playmaker on support as well as central midfielder on defend. I think again it's just heading that's a bit of a worry. These players seem to be capable of playing many roles. Chalobah's still suited for Championship, so in fact I wouldn't even consider him. I'd send him back out on loan until he's ready for the Premier League. Loftus-Cheek's probably the same, so I would do the same again. And that's starting to clear up our centre midfield as well a little bit better. Marco van Ginkel is considered a good player, so he's ready for it. He's 23 years of age, deep line playmaker, and I don't think he'll be good for a centre midfielder on defend. Well, he's decent, but tackling's bad, so maybe keep an eye on that. So again, it's really up to your choices here. The only leading one is Kante, so here it's up to you who you want to sell, who you want to keep. A lot of these players are capable of playing both roles, so it's depending on who you think would be best for these roles and who you prefer. Of course, you have to consider things like their cons. I think maybe some of these will have, he's slow off the mark, so if you're building a team built around pace, you might worry a little bit about Mikel. Matic is slow as well. Kante you're definitely keeping anyway, so that's not a worry. and Van Ginkel is probably inconsistent with representative with chances, so might not be a good idea to play him as a deep line playmaker, but or eventually he might get rid of that, so you never know. In our winger positions though, we do have a couple of options here. Now, first choice is Willian and Hazard, so we already know you're definitely keeping those two. Now the question is who plays left wing and who plays right wing. So Moses seems to be comfortable as a winger, so you might be a good idea to keep him as backup. He is considered a good player, but again, your choice whether to sell him and bring in someone with potential who can eventually replace Willian, or just keep your faith in Moses. Not too good as a winger, to be honest, if you ask me. I always like wingers with high crossing, but he does have a lot of acceleration, pace and dribbling, so he can definitely take his man on. The only worry is that he cuts in from both wings, a bit like Willian. And then you've got Pedro, who would probably have to be backup to Hazard, which means apparently he's more comfortable playing as a winger, but I would suggest playing him as an inside forward. The reason why I don't like Rodamantor is because they don't do enough defensive work. You have to have a strong team built around them in order to actually get the best out of them. So as it says, they're great because they exploit any opportunities, but they, quiet periods and whatnot when they're neglecting defensive duties, so it's not good. Pretty much leaves us with attacking midfield. You've got Oscar, only considered as a good player for some reason, and I would say he's a decent backup, but of course again you can sell him because he's worth a lot of money, and you can bring in someone else with potential to play as a backup to Fabregas, who will eventually start declining. As it says here, as the player ages, he'll be more suited to a defensive midfield role. But yeah, for now, I think you should keep Fabregas. High stats as an advanced playmaker on attack, and maybe sell Oscar for a ton of money and invest in youth. You've got Costa, definitely your first choice, and Michy Batshuayi, only considered decent player. Now this is where you have a serious decision to make. He's got about 2 years until he actually fulfills his potential. The question is his potential going to be a leading player or only as a good player? So you might be better off again selling someone decent money. You might struggle to do it because you just bought him for 34 million. I'm not sure why the game rates him so poorly. Then again, I've heard he struggled in real life, so I guess it kind of makes sense. But Chelsea spent a ton of money on him. I doubt you're going to get anywhere near that type of money back. So you might be better off just keeping him and seeing if he'll do any good for you or not. But I would suggest selling him. That's just my opinion. In terms of your youth, if you have a look at both the under 18 and the under 23 squad, you've got quite a lot of players who are coming through. Some decent players here, and I don't think you can call back Cuadrado. Yeah, loan cannot be terminated. But anyways, in terms of seeing who's ready for the actual Premier League just yet, Solanke is coming through as a striker, but he's still Championship. I don't think you really have anyone that's really ready here. So I don't think there's anyone you can rely on. But you do have some youth players here: Christensen, Kennedy, Castillo, George McKershan. Some decent players. If you just take care of them, then you'll definitely be sorted for the next couple of years or so. So I think that will be all for today's episode. If you've got any suggestions on what you think should be how Chelsea play or their best team, whatever, then do let me know. But I will tell you the team instructions, which I forgot to mention. I would keep it the same. I always like being simple, like I mentioned in the Arsenal one. I would play lower tempo, shorter passing, roam from positions and be more expressive. Your top team, you have every right to be roaming and being more expressive. You need everything you can to unlock tight defensive teams. And you can trust your team to make good decisions when they're being more expressive. Now, of course, if you're going to stick with possession-based, which I think the team is sort of suited to, because you've got advanced playmakers and whatnot, then it would then definitely makes sense to play like this. But if you're the type that likes more instructions, then you can definitely do things like play a high line, offside trap, close down more, retain possession, play out defense, work the ball into the box, all these sort of things to keep possession more. But again, it will equal to about 10 instructions, so that's a bit too much for me. But it really depends on if you're I guess a loose manager, if you excuse the saying, or someone who likes to be very detailed with their instructions. But yeah, definitely anyways, that will now for sure be the end of this episode. So if you didn't enjoy it, then please do hit the like button, of course, and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2017 content. And as always, thank you guys for watching.